Welcome to the Mind Spark, bringing you the latest news from around the world tonight. A quiet crisis is unfolding across the American heartland. In towns once defined by the steady hum of industry, silence now lingers where hope used to thrive. For decades, Toyota, Honda, and Nissan weren't just car brands. They were pillars of American communities, providing jobs, stability, and a sense of purpose for millions of families. These factories became the backbone of small towns, supporting local businesses and shaping the rhythm of daily life. Now that foundation is cracking. The once bustling plants are growing quiet, and uncertainty hangs in the air. Nearly 390,000 U.S. auto jobs are at risk, threatening not just paychecks but the very fabric of entire towns. For many, the factory isn't just a workplace, it's a lifeline. This isn't just about numbers or corporate decisions, it's about real people, real families, and real dreams put on hold. Every lost job means another family struggling to make ends meet, another child's future thrown into doubt. The assembly line worker in Ohio, who's spent decades perfecting their craft, the diner owner in Tennessee, who relies on factory workers for her morning rush, the high school grad in Kentucky, hoping for a stable job close to home, all face an uncertain future, their lives upended by forces beyond their control. The ripple effects go far beyond factory gates, touching schools, property values, and hope itself. When a plant closes, classrooms empty, local shops shutter, and the spirit of a community dims. We're witnessing the potential dismantling of an economic engine that powered towns for over 40 years, fueling dreams and building futures across generations. The story of Japanese automakers in America was once a model of global partnership, a symbol of what nations could achieve together. It brought innovation, prosperity, and cultural exchange. Now, it risks becoming a cautionary tale about the fragility of our industrial base and the consequences of shifting priorities in a changing world. As we hear from those on the front lines, we must ask, how do we protect these jobs, support our communities, and secure the future of American manufacturing for the next generation? The answer will shape not just our economy, but the very soul of our nation. To understand today's crisis, we need to look back. In the late 1970s and 80s, Japanese automakers like Honda, Nissan, and Toyota built factories in America, blending Japanese efficiency with American labor. These plants became models of productivity, producing millions of vehicles and creating stable middle-class jobs. The companies invested in communities, sponsoring local teams, funding scholarships, and supporting hospitals. A job at the plant meant security and a future. Towns redefined themselves around these factories, their fortunes rising and falling with the auto industry. This deep integration is why today's pullback feels like a betrayal. These companies became part of America, building trust over 40 years. Now that trust is being tested as communities wonder how they'll survive without their economic engine. Why are these automakers pulling back now? The answer: the global shift to electric vehicles. Building EVs requires new supply chains, battery tech, and massive investment. Often outside the US, lower labor costs and government incentives in Asia and Mexico are drawing production away. Automakers are consolidating operations abroad to compete in the global EV market, especially against China. Trade policies and market focus matter too. Fastest growing markets are now in Asia. Companies are following the principle build where you sell. Corporate strategy is driven by profitability, not sentiment. The math points away from expanding US manufacturing and toward new EV hubs overseas. The result: a slow but deliberate disinvestment from the American communities they once helped build. Behind the number, 390,000 jobs, are real stories of anxiety and loss. Each statistic represents a person, a family, and a community grappling with uncertainty. These are not just numbers on a spreadsheet, but lives upended and dreams put on hold. In Canton, Mississippi, a Nissan plant has been the region's lifeblood for decades. Generations have relied on its steady paychecks, building not just cars but futures and a sense of pride in their work. Now, workers fear for their future. Conversations in break rooms are hushed, filled with worry about what tomorrow might bring. The uncertainty hangs heavy in the air, touching everyone from the newest hire to the most seasoned veteran. A single mother on the assembly line wonders how she'll pay her mortgage if the plant closes. She thinks about her children, their school, and the home she's worked so hard to provide. Every paycheck is a lifeline, and the threat of losing it is overwhelming. A veteran mechanic in Indiana asks, "Where do I go at my age? Who's going to hire me to start over?" The impact is generational. Fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, all have built their lives around these jobs, passing down skills and stories. Young people once saw the auto plant as a path to stability. Now that path is vanishing. The promise of a good job close to home is fading, replaced by doubt and the need to look elsewhere for opportunity. Guidance counselors see rising hopelessness as career opportunities disappear. They struggle to offer advice, knowing that the options for their students are shrinking, and the future feels less certain than ever before. Ambitious youth leave town, breaking family ties and hollowing out communities. Each departure is a loss not just for a family but for the entire town, as energy and hope drain away with every packed suitcase. The pain extends beyond direct employees. Local diners, shops, and service providers all feel the ripple effects as customers disappear and sales decline. For every assembly line worker, several more work at suppliers, making seats, tires, wiring, and more. These jobs are just as vital and just as vulnerable when the auto industry stumbles. These smaller businesses are hit first when automakers cut orders. Owners face impossible choices: lay off workers, cut hours, or close their doors for good. The result? A domino effect of layoffs, spreading economic pain through entire regions. Towns that once thrived on industry now struggle to hold on, as hope gives way to hardship. The loss isn't just financial, it's the erosion of dignity, identity, and hope. People who took pride in their work now face the stigma of unemployment, and the emotional toll is profound. This is the human cost that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. Behind every lost job is a story of resilience, struggle, and the enduring spirit of American workers facing an uncertain future. When an auto plant cuts back or shuts its doors, the shockwave doesn't just stop at the factory gates, it ripples through the entire town, touching every corner of daily life. The factory is often the heart of the community, and when it falters, the effects are immediate and far-reaching. Local businesses, restaurants, shops, and service providers lose their steady stream of customers. With fewer people spending money, property values begin to drop, and the local economy contracts. The once busy Main Street starts to look deserted, and the sense of vibrancy fades. Every dollar earned by a factory worker doesn't just support their own family, it circulates through the community, paying for groceries, haircuts, and home repairs. When those paychecks disappear, everyone feels the loss. Even public services like libraries and parks start to suffer. Schools, police, and fire departments lose crucial funding as tax revenues collapse. Classrooms grow crowded, equipment ages, and emergency response times can increase, putting the community at risk. The quality of life declines for everyone, not just the plant workers. Neighborhoods become neglected, playgrounds fall into disrepair, and families struggle to maintain their homes. Social problems rise, financial stress strains families, leading to anxiety and uncertainty about the future. Community pride fades as cherished traditions and events dwindle, leaving a sense of emptiness. Main Street empties out, replaced by for-lease signs and boarded-up windows. The town's identity, once tied to its industry, begins to erode. Without a major employer, towns struggle to attract new investment. Local leaders face tough choices, and the risk of permanent stagnation grows with each passing year. Young people, seeing few opportunities, leave in search of better futures elsewhere. This exodus accelerates the town's decline, leaving behind an aging population and empty schools. What was once a thriving, self-sufficient community becomes increasingly dependent on government aid and charity, as hope for a turnaround fades. This story has played out across the Rust Belt for decades, and now it threatens towns throughout the South and Midwest, wherever factories are at risk. The ripple effects of a factory slowdown or closure can last for decades, leaving scars that are visible in abandoned buildings and forgotten playgrounds. The loss is more than economic. It's the slow withering of a town's spirit, a fading of shared memories and community bonds that once held everything together. The looming job losses have sparked a political firestorm. In Washington and state capitals, politicians blame trade policies, regulations, and taxes. Some call for tariffs and incentives to keep jobs here, others want a more business-friendly environment. Unions fight to protect workers, demanding stronger labor protections and government intervention. State and local leaders scramble to offer new incentives, but can't match subsidies from abroad. The federal government faces pressure to act. Subsidies, retraining, and tax credits are all on the table. Critics say these efforts may be too little, too late. The fate of auto jobs could sway elections in key states. Industry analysts agree the shift to electric vehicles is the main force behind these changes. Dr. Emily Carter calls it a painful but predictable realignment. As internal combustion engines fade, So do the jobs tied to them. Experts say reshoring all these jobs isn't realistic. Global automakers will build where it's most efficient. The US must focus on its strengths: high-tech research, software, and innovation. Some believe aggressive industrial policy could help retain manufacturing, but it requires more than tax credits. Investment in workforce development, infrastructure, and next-gen battery research is critical. Labor experts warn, these aren't just jobs, they're the anchors of communities. The transition must be managed responsibly, with robust retraining and support for affected towns. Letting these communities wither would be a policy failure with lasting social consequences. Sometimes numbers and maps tell the story best. For decades, auto alleys stretched from the Midwest to the South. Now, red circles mark plants and suppliers at risk. A line graph shows 4 decades of job growth, then a steep projected decline. 390,000 jobs on the line. A pie chart reveals most at-risk jobs are at smaller suppliers, not just the big plants. The pain will be widespread, touching dozens of states. Bar charts show US investment in EVs lags behind China and Europe, while American wages remain higher than in Mexico or Asia. These visuals reveal fierce global competition and the immense challenge facing American workers. The threat is bigger than any one company. It's about the future of US manufacturing. America stands at a crossroads. One path leads to decline, lost jobs, hollowed-out towns, and a weakened industrial base. The other demands courage, innovation, and a united national effort to fight for our manufacturing future. We need policies that make America the best place to build the next generation of vehicles. That means investing in people, retraining, skills development, and real support for workers. Corporations must show loyalty to the communities that built their success. As citizens, we must demand more from leaders and hold companies accountable. The fate of 390,000 jobs is a test of who we are as a nation. The choice is ours: surrender to change or harness it to build a stronger, more prosperous America.